All right, so let's go ahead. I think we're going to get started just a little bit early today. Since we have a lot of ground to cover, happy Wednesday, everybody. For those of you who don't know, my name is Juniper. I am the Senior Community Manager for the Bitverse, and I am excited to welcome all of you to a very special educational session about Web3 with Kongregate's very own CTO, Max Murphy. If you are new to NFTs, Web3, or blockchain gaming and are wondering where to start, this session is 100% designed for you. Max has very graciously agreed to talk about the basics and foundations of the Web3 space to kind of help you get a little bit better acquainted with things before our NFT pre sale on September 22nd. Our plan is to go over some updates about current Bitverse community events as we usually do. Then we'll transition into talking more in depth about Web3, and we'll wrap our session up by giving away an Ultra Gore and 3 allow list spots to some of our lucky audience members. We do expect this session will probably be 30 to 45 minutes, and we'll be posting the session up on our YouTube channel for those of you who weren't able to attend. As a quick reminder, and I'm so excited for this, we are opening up our allow list for our NFT presale tomorrow. For those of you who are unfamiliar, we will be randomly selecting people from our allow list to participate in the upcoming presale of Gen Zero NFT Heroes. For more information, please check out the Bitverse NFT info channel, or you can join us tomorrow for another info session at 3 p.m., where we will be kind of step by step walking everybody through the instructions of how to sign up and get involved with the allow list and NFT presale. For our Spanish speaking community members, we have an event with T2 LATAM scheduled for 4 p.m. Pacific time today on Twitter Spaces. Please check out our Twitter or Discord for more information about how you can go ahead and go ahead and join in on that one. All right. So now that we have the formalities out of the way, Max, do you maybe want to kick things off by introducing yourself to the community again, since we have so many new folks that have recently joined us?
Yeah, of course. I haven't been here in the Bitverse Discord in a few weeks, in an AMA at least, and excited to be here. I'm Max Murphy, the CTO of Kongregate. I've been experimenting in the blockchain space since about 2019 over here, and now we're going big. We're doing more. We're making more things happen, and the Bitverse is a big part of that.
Well, we're super excited to have you. I think honestly, just a great place to get started today, since we do have a lot of people who are really, really new to this whole concept, is maybe we can take a step back and just kind of explain, like, what do we even mean when we're talking about, like, what does blockchain mean? What is can you kind of just start maybe with the high level and explain a little bit from there?
Yeah. So like, blockchain, it's a technology. Just like a relational database is something we use in engineering quite often, which is, another technology. There's many flavors of it. Just like blockchain, there's many flavors of blockchain. There's Bitcoin, there's Ethereum, there's Polygon, there's Mutable X, I mean, the list goes on, right? Like there's all these different blockchains out there. And what a blockchain is, it's like this, the technical answer is it's a distributed public ledger. What that means is that it's basically like a big distributed database. Like all these different computers have a copy of it internally, and they are watching these transactions. And like the reason it's called a blockchain is that each transaction is represented as a block, and each block is linked to the block prior. So that is the like security feature. There's no like man in the middle injection happening there. There's no I'm coming in and I'm adding a transaction to the list, and because I that transaction is not validated as like that point in the ledger. I can do that in a lot of places. In blockchain, I can't, because I need to reference the previous transaction. I also need validation of a quorum. So basically, like all these different nodes that are like, oh, that was the last transaction. You're the next transaction. You're doing this. Okay, I sign off on that. That is valid. And those are validators. There's a lot of different technologies around those validators, right? It's where blockchain gets a bad rap in a lot of ways. Looking at the old model of what's called like proof of work. And if anyone here remembers things like SETI at home, where you ran the screensaver, or like protein folding at home, where the screensaver did some computational stuff, and shared the results on the other end. Um, the blockchain is similar to that. Is it's got all these different places out on the internet that these nodes are reading and validating. And like the proof of stake part is like, I solved all these problems. Therefore, my place in the chain, or the chain community, if you will, is I've got a lot of status. Therefore, like I have solved all these problems. I've got a sweet computer or a sweet pharma computers that I'm spending a lot of money on. They're, doing all this, with Bitcoin, for instance, it's like cryptographic proofs that uses a lot of computing power, yada yada, goes on. And so like as I discover like new mathematical proofs, I get like more clout. And the more clout I have, the more transactions I'm able to validate, and I get a little cut of each one of those, right? So that is where like the proof of stake world the proof of stake world is coming in. Super exciting. Seeing the Ethereum network is transitioning to proof of stake by September like 16th or 12th. It's already kicked off as of like yesterday. It's going real fast. And what that's going to do is I'm going to invest this much into this token, into this network to become a validator. I'm going to say, you know what? I've got this much skin in the game. This is how much I'm putting down on the table to validate transactions in this world, and earn a little bit back at the same time. And that's like the future. That's where things are going, is into this proof of stake world. And with that, it's going to reduce like exponentially the amount of carbon emissions from a blockchain, et cetera, to keep it greener. And the timing couldn't be more perfect for me. My whole time building this blockchain vertical, doing all this, has been really focused on being responsible about it, being finding the green partner like we did with Immutable X, waiting and launching closer to the Ethereum merge into proof of stake versus proof of work, to be part of the responsible blockchain community in the world. So that is my highest of high levels of what blockchains are, and I got a little bit into like validation mechanisms too, Jennifer.
That is absolutely totally fine. So, how do you think, like thinking about, what you just explained to us, for the folks who are a little bit newer to this, how does that translate to gaming? How can blockchain gaming, or how can blockchain actually be useful, for game development?
This is the question that's been in my head since 2019, right? Like, so how can it be useful for gaming? Like the number one thing to me is ownership and agency, right? Like it eliminates that whole gray market, the gray market of I buy a WoW account on eBay, right? Because I want to get gold from a gold farmer, et cetera. And that's clearly against the terms of service. And people have definitely gotten banned over doing things like that. But a lot of people haven't. And it became like a pretty good industry for a while, if anyone remembers those days. And you know, having that ownership and agency over your, in the Bitverse, for instance, your avatar, right? Your gameplay. I I did the grind. My character is level 100, and you know what? Life changes. I've got kids now. I can't play games as much. I don't have the investment to bring my level 100 character to level 150. In fact, I don't have much time to play the game at all. And diapers are expensive. I want to, maybe trade in the equity that I've built in this game for cash, and have, money in front of me, um, which is always, a great thing. So, with that, that's like a huge part because like how many games have I invested in over my time as a gamer? Like so many, and how many have sunset? How many are now unplayable? And like I don't even have the trading card from one of the games that one of the card games I played. I don't have an image of the card even. I can't even find it on the internet, right?
Mm.
And in that ownership part, like I get to keep that collection. Like I'm a collector. I collect a lot of things. Whether they be, I've got a huge collection of Star Trek: The Next Generation uh, trading card game. Love this kind of stuff, right? And I see that like a very good parallel in this world where you actually own what you're collecting, like Magic cards, Pokemon, etc. And then the agency portion, right? Like yeah, there's the agency to buy and sell, but there's also the agency to take your stuff to another game. And that's another thing we're proving in the Bitverse is you can have the agency to take your items or your character in this instance between three different titles and move them around and then opening up to a world of, uh, of not mashups, but partnerships with other games. And we would, you know, play your Bit Heroes character in some other world, in some other game. And that's like the true agency portion of it because you just take your wallet with you and your items in your wallet and you're not signing into one system, linking your accounts across over here. You have it with you and it goes with you from site to site, from app to app. And it's cool to think of it as like, I'm a big D&D nerd. So like, your bag of holding and that's your wallet in this gaming world.
That's absolutely wonderful. Could you explain a little bit for the people in the audience? Because I think we've got this question a few times from folks trying to kind of understand when we're talking about agency and like a true ownership, how that differs from more traditional game development.
Oh, right, right. So, looking at that world, we've done some experiments here in Bit Heroes Quest, obviously. Shout out to if anyone in the audience bought our first batch of NFTs for that game and were part of that experiment with us. Love you all. Thank you. So in that world, it's, when I buy an in-game item, it lives on the game server. It's linked to my account that is an agreement between me and say Kongregate's terms of service for my account there. If Kongregate decides to ban my account, if Kongregate decides to sunset the game, or if there is a massive like catastrophic spectacular database failure, right? Like I don't know, smaller games have experienced this in the past. Like I've never happened to Big Heroes Quest, but there's, times where things happen and you lose things. In this world, what you buy, you own, and it doesn't leave. It doesn't leave. Like you have this token that represents that item that lives with you, and we put a lot of stuff into those tokens, so you'll always be able to see, you know, that card from your CCG that you played years ago that has long since been sunset. And I see in our world, like with Kongai, an old platform game, people are still playing it, but they still have to play it on our platform, and they have to jump through a lot of hoops to play it on our platform. If these cards were NFTs in people's wallets, anyone could create an interface or client to play this game and display these NFTs in the game. So it's like that's really the agency. It's like I put everything in my backpack and I take it with me somewhere, and like my toys and me are a free agent. And we're gonna go play at a friend's house.
I love that. Okay, so what would you say then is in your mind kind of like the future of blockchain gaming? Where do you see that headed?
So to me, there's a few paths we're going down right now. Like the industry as a whole, there's the metaverse path where one day we're all going to strap on virtual reality headsets and all our NFTs are going to be decorating our metaverse room in the virtual space, right? Like there's that path. There's the path of your game items live on for eternity with you. You take them from place to place, and eventually, I'd love to see a community building games around these assets. Um, and the final one, the one that I'm most excited for, is the word I was missing a minute ago, and that is crossover. And having like huge crossover events that can be multi-IP, that can be multi-game world, and still be cohesive and accessible to everyone in the Web3 space.
So you're saying my dream of combining Bit Heroes with Stardew Valley-ish like mechanics can happen. This is I'm hoping you say yes, because I've been like every AMA I try to get Jorge to agree to this.
As an official Bitverse project, I can't agree to that.
I mean, it's possible. I'll take it's
No, it's
potentially
totally
possible.
possible, right? Like we're building like our it's the looking at the blockchain less of like this like investment sphere and like DeFi space, and more as like this is a massively distributed public database, and being able to use it in that aspect is what's going to make things like that possible, right? Like there was one NFT project that was literally called loot bags, and the NFTs were honestly a list of things that you would maybe find in a D&D quest.
Oh, that's so cool.
And
I'm
it's
a little
it's
bit of a
it's
nerd
those
for
kinds of
D&D
things.
too.
Yeah, so
That's so
so
cool.
I bought this loot bag. Well, you know what? Let's run a campaign, and everyone bring your loot bag, or at least the contents of your loot bag written on a sheet of paper or whatever. Like there's even real world utility to these things.
All right. So speaking of the contents of our loot bags, could you and let's for our audience sake, we'll do this like the explain it to me like I'm 5. Can you explain very simply, straightforward, what is an NFT? What does it stand for? How does it work?
Okay, I'll go for the like dry technical kind of ELI 5 way here, and that's an NFT is a non-fungible token. That means it can't be modified, it can't be changed. The only things it can be done that can be done with it are being transferred, being burnt, being staked, but that token itself mm, doesn't change. That token can be generative, right? So I may replace that token with a level 2 version of that token, but in the this world, it's like it is one thing. So say we are selling NFT mounts, right? We've done that before. We sell those, and there were only 50 of them. There are only ever going to be 50 of them, which is really cool because in the classic space and the I run my own game server database backend. I created that mount item. There's no guarantee that I can't go and resell it. I can't say, oh, I'm only selling 50 of these. It's the most rare item. And then I nerf it 6 months down the line and sell 5,000 of them. This it makes for a much more like defined and almost balanced experience, like from the get-go, right? Because there's no changing that token or those tokens once you've minted them. You can mint more tokens, right? But there's those tokens, their metadata, it's all unique, and it's like NFTs are one of one. The token itself, what the token represents, may not be one of one, right? Like where I buy and I want to buy this cool movie poster NFT. Sweet. There's only 50 of them. They're all 50 the same movie poster, but there's only 50 of them. And that's like kind of the same analog to like, say, the mounts that we've sold in the past.
That makes perfect. I think that makes perfect sense, right? I think we get the joke very often from our Web2 community about what fungible means, and if it is in fact a mushroom or related to like various things that grow in the ground. So thank you for explaining the explain it to us like we're 5. We super appreciate it. I
You can't
think
you can't take it all and funge it up, you know?
um, so I think we've kind of been talking about this a little bit, but in your mind, what is it about NFTs? Not necessarily Bitverse NFTs, just NFTs. Like, why would an NFT be valuable? Be something that maybe a person would want to buy or invest in?
Yeah, so, on that, I mean, I can ask you, like, why are baseball cards valuable? Why are Pokemon cards valuable? Why are, vintage NES cartridges valuable? These are all things that, the value is in the market. It's like the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The value is in the wallet of the buyer. I don't know.
It's
Can't
very
can't come up
true.
with a good one there. But and it's really just like market supply and demand, like anything else, whether it be uh, skins in a MOBA, whether it be NFTs here, whether it be my if I were like a shoe collector, right? Like my shoe collection is something like why are these Nike Airs worth more than those Nikes? Like because people want those more and will pay more for them, right?
Absolutely. I can't tell you how much. And I mean, for the folks in the audience, maybe who are grappling with the idea of paying for something digital, I think a good idea to reframe this is to just remember that as gamers, right, we're really, really familiar with buying digital things. I don't know about y'all. I have spent an obscene amount of money on in-game boxes or things like it. Like my Overwatch account, I don't even want to talk about it. It's too much. And I remember back when those sort of transactions were new, a lot of people were also wary about that sort of technology, and we were able to now it's something that everyone is for the most part very comfortable with. People understand the concept of, right, a Bit Heroes player who
Yeah.
buys an XXL pack knows that they're getting inherent value because it's important to them and their hobby and their investment. So for I would say anyone in the audience it who might be stuck on this idea of like paying for digital goods, we do that all the time. Some people choose to invest their money into like going out to movies. Some people like to collect NFTs. Some people like to buy boxes and Overwatch,
Right.
to an
Some
unhealthy.
people like the tangible, some people like the experience. Like there's all of those with any hobby, with any collection. But then, it I've been in the space long enough. I remember the arguments of free to play gaming when it started, right? And that was, the biggest argument it was there. Who wants to play a game $1 at a time? That was one of the big, like, tongue-in-cheek things, like, I right-click and saved your
Absolutely.
JPEG. How do you feel about that? Like, who wants to play a game $1 at a time? And, like, well, I'll tell you, at this point, after Kongregate's mobile publishing business, like, m millions, like,
Hmm.
you know, uh, we're talking, like, 8-figure numbers, like 75 some million in-app purchases over our lifetime, right? Like,
I agree wholeheartedly. I think free to play gaming. I remember being there too, and I remember, very similar talking points. Right, like we would hear things like, "Oh, well, these aren't even really games," or like, "No, they are. They're real." It's just I think a new way of us thinking about, again, like you were mentioning. Owning items. It's just a new way of doing that that I don't think is quite as different and potentially as scary as it might seem on the surface.
it's not, and it's a tech. When it comes down to it, it's a technology. I mentioned the relational database earlier. Like no one freaked out about that the way the blockchain did. People weren't also as excited in the consumer space about it as people are with blockchain and
Yeah.
NFTs. Like most of the audience is probably like, what even is a rational database? Well, it's like, it's a database that you can make. I'm sorry, excuse me, a relational database. It's like a user has many items, and like that is not a single table or row. It's like multiple tables all linked together. And think of it like having a collection of spreadsheets that you can reference each other in. It changed the world for like technology, but it did not like get the same, you know, oh, it's going to burn down the world. And, you know, I feel like we spent more electricity on that in its
I, I
entire life cycle, right? And seeing like the blockchain is like reacting to this, at least some chains are, and changing how they do things to be more friendly and be more, in it for the long run and environmentally responsible.
I think that's a really, really great thing to bring up too. You mentioned it earlier, but I know it's been such a big talking point. I think it's so fair for people to feel just like if you're not deep in the world or versed in the world, that maybe you have this idea that all NFT projects are inherently terrible for the environment. I would love, Max, if you can, just to talk a little bit more like about some of those efforts that have gone into at least on Congregate side, right? We can't speak for all of NFTs, but there has been a lot of advancements in how these are done that are really, really, really reducing their impact on the environment. And I mean,
Yeah.
I'm curious, given how long you've been in the industry, I often will liken this one to I ask people, well, how they feel about the carbon impact of traditional game development. And
Mhm.
I find that most people don't have an answer to that question.
Right. Right. Or no, I mean, it really isn't, because it's not the thing under fire right now. So why would I have an argument for
Exactly.
that? Um,
But yeah, I'd love to hear more, I think, about what has changed since the initial
yeah.
reports that became popularized that NFTs were inherently bad for the environment. Like, what in your opinion has changed?
Well, I mean, those reports were done and people saw the impact, including, blockchain operators, developers, and everyone really started working towards a world of like I was mentioning earlier with Ethereum moving to proof of stake. Other networks out there have been running proof of stake already, where you can buy a validator and you can become a validator and you can earn a little bit from the ecosystem while you're providing a service to every other player out there. Um, it's just really taking it from that angle. And that's really been like the top of mind for me as we've been building this here at Congregate, is being environmentally responsible, being game first, and really testing and vetting technology before we go all in on it, right? And those three things led me to Immutable X, obviously. Partnering with them, they have a great ecological responsibility position that they've taken. They are, carbon neutral, and you hear this a lot. You hear like green energy, green this, and it's really like you're buying credits or paying taxes to enable production of more green energy, and that's how you offset your own carbon usage. Like airlines do this, um, and it's really a game of like, well, if I can put back more than I've taken, then I'm obviously carbon negative or carbon neutral in that aspect, and that's been incredibly helpful for a lot of these businesses and platforms and everything at the beginning of this, right? Because
Hmm.
until everything is cut over to proof of stake, as long as I'm doing something on Ethereum, I am paying gas fees that can be super high because of network congestion. I have to like pay for priority to get my transaction validated. Um, there's the ecological impact of the proof of work. So all the nodes validating my interaction there are going to become, are uh, there because they've burnt enough electricity to solve enough cryptographic proofs to validate that transaction, right? And that's the world we're moving away from, and people are going there. All the providers are going there. Self-run chains are a thing. Having chains that are bridged to Ethereum, roll-up technology, which is what Immutable X uses. So the way Immutable X is doing that is through through the roll-up technology from Starkware, which basically builds up on their network, say 10,000 transactions, rolls them into one, and rolls that out into the Ethereum mainnet, and the gas fees for all of that then become lower because it's distributed out across all those transactions. And then you buy some carbon offsets, and then the bar chart kind of balances as far as uh, use and replacement as far as like the ecological stuff goes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for explaining that. So much has changed, and it's such a Web3 does move very quickly. I mean, in the modern age, we all move very quickly, but Web3, I think sometimes in particular, can have these very massive like changes that seemingly happen very quickly. So thank you for getting us all caught up on that.
Developing in this space, I'll tell you all, it is like every night there's like something new. It's insane.
Now, one thing that I would love your insight on, and I think would probably help a lot of players in the audience, is a little bit of an explanation of what a wallet is and in like the Web3 sense. I think people are really familiar with the idea of like paying with a credit card or paying with PayPal.
Mhm, mhm.
And I think the wallet is a new introduction that has a lot of people a little bit confused. So I was wondering if you could maybe explain that a little bit for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly like a real world wallet in a lot of ways. It holds stuff, right? It holds currency. It holds like, pictures of your loved ones, some cards, this. It's on the blockchain. So like that's your address, right? Like that's your email address when you get a Gmail account, like is an analog in that world. Or if you've ever used Google to log in on another website, right? Like that's your Google account, but you're logging into the New York Times with it, but it's still your Google account. You're signing up for an account there, but you're not filling out a form, right? You're just taking your identity with you. And the wallet is like that in a lot of ways. It's like, imagine your PayPal account is out there. You can connect it to anything you want, any place you want. But instead of being a bridge to a payment method, it's not only the tokens that you've purchased, say, Ether tokens on the Ethereum network or IMX tokens for Immutable X. You have those. That's like in your little like your billfold part, and then in the rest of your wallet, you've got your NFTs, represented in there, depending on what interface because the wallet like essentially lives on the blockchain, and your address is there, and you connect your like wallet interface, right? And that's like MetaMask or Magic Link or the IMX wallet and all those things. And uh, using MetaMask, it's like I go to another Web3 project, I just click connect my wallet, and I'm like authenticated and logged in, and I can do everything I want there. The cool thing on like the uh, anonymity side is like I'm a hash. I'm not like Max Murphy from Kongregate. I am like, OX, numbers go on for a while. And that's my identity. So it like the thing that I haven't mentioned on like this whole thing, that's a whole nother topic, whole nother time, is like the security and like the shielding of personally identifiable information, which has become a huge thing in the digital age recently, right? So this like changes that into you're more anonymous, you have a wallet ID, and in that wallet is like essentially only you have access to it, or you have like signed a transaction or a contract with someone else that can do something to it. So like you're always there approving or denying like the access or the use of it, right? So it's secure in that sense, and it's really like you take that wallet, you go to Bitverse, you buy something at Bitverse, you take that same wallet, you go to God's Unchained, you buy some cards, and like they all end up in the same wallet because that's you and that's your wallet that you're carrying around between these sites.
And as far as like just general, I think just general like best practices, I guess, as far as security goes. How could a person theoretically lose their wallet or have their wallet compromised?
You can get your wallet compromised through like, shady projects. They'll do like always, check your project, your collection. Like most of the scams are really in the space of like misrepresenting, right? Like counterfeit, misrepresented NFTs. Like, here, buy my bored ape for like way below what the going rate is. And you're like, yeah, sure, it looks like a bored ape. I'm gonna buy it. And you find out that it's like, you know, max 1, 2, 3, 4 bored ape yacht club bonanza, right? And it's like a whole different collection, and like there's that scam, right? The other one is you get the secret passphrase. It's some words. Don't share it with anyone ever. Like put it in a safe. It's like your master password for that wallet. That with that password is the only way to recover your wallet if you ever lose it, or if you get a new computer and need to like get access to it, or you want to migrate that wallet into like a mobile client. Those words are your lifeblood. Don't share them.
Just to double down on that, definitely, definitely do not share them. I don't think there's any real legitimate project out there that would ever ask you for your passphrases. If they are asking you for your passphrases, that's potentially very concerning. If they're asking you for, I like Max was saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it might be too good to be true. You do have to be careful in this space for, people who might not be the best of actors, but that isn't us, which is great. So make sure you keep your passphrase safe, like Max, like maybe in an actual safe. That would be great. But don't share it. Nobody on the Bitverse side will ever reach out to you asking you for your passphrase. I think generally speaking, it's okay for you to share your wallet information with somebody. When I say wallet information, I mean like your ID. So, like, let's say you won a Bitverse NFT. I would need your wallet ID so I could give that to you. Um, just like I would need like your account ID. But just like your Kongregate account, I would never ask you for your password on congregate.com, right? It's not something that I would need in order to assist you, and it's kind of the same way here. So, if you do, when hopefully all of you go and set up a wallet, when you do that, just be smart. Keep your information safe and secure, and you should be just fine. All right. So let me see here. I think that is just about our time for today. So, was there anything maybe that you wanted to share with us, like in closing, Max? Any thoughts that you had?
I just want to thank everyone for listening to me for this long. Um, Fun fact,
We
I
really
never
love to have
listen to
you.
any recordings of myself ever. Everyone else does.
Really?
Oh yeah, really. There's something about hearing my own voice. Uh, no, my closing thoughts are like, thank you all for attending. Thank you all for being part of Bit Heroes, the Bitverse, all of it. It's near and dear to a lot of us here, and you know, is
Oh,
a hot dog a sandwich?
oh my gosh, it's so
No, I'm not going to start that one this time.
I was gonna say out. Like, but before we end the session, before everyone leaves, real quick, we do still need to give away our Ultra Gore and our 3 Allow list spot winners. So what we're gonna do is everybody who has shown up here today is eligible to win. We're gonna be throwing everybody's
Am
name.
I exempt? Am I entered?
Unfortunately, you and I don't get to be in this.
Ah, dang. All right.
But everybody else will have a chance to win our allow list spots. It's really important to understand that if you do win an allow list spot, that you are basically at your computer ready to go tomorrow around 10 a.m. Pacific time, because that's how you take advantage of your allow list spot is anyway. So just be there with us, make sure, or I'm sorry, not after our pre-sale, I got our dates mixed up. When we do our pre-sale on September 22nd, being on the allow list means you will have an opportunity to purchase one of those, so you will need to be there ahead of time for the pre-sale if you are on our allow list. I am so sorry for any confusion. I think I got my dates mixed up. All right. So I do just want to reiterate Max's thank you, and just, you know, thank you to everybody here who is keeping their minds open and being willing to learn about new stuff with us and to go on this adventure and journey with us. We will be back tomorrow for another info session where we will be walking everybody step by step through. Um, we'll be going step by step through the process of actually signing up for the allow list tomorrow. So if y'all are looking for information around that, please join us. We'll be doing more awesome giveaways as we usually do. So we'll see you all then. And we hope you have an absolutely incredible day. Thanks, everyone.